Come on in. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's way too close.
Oh, hey, what's up? What's up, Jeremy? How's it going, man?
Hey, dude.
Been a while. Yeah.
Daniel, I have to say, I've really missed the intro. That music, it's such a jam.
It is a banger. I will say it's on my regular playlist on Spotify. I'll go ahead and share that Spotify playlist after this. I'm sure there's tons of interest, but you know, I just kind of want to start off by thanking everybody for showing up. This is pretty exciting. Normally, we would kick the year off with an in-person party, a big celebration for society members and a couple cool events. But obviously, we can't do that this year. So we were thinking next best thing. Let's get online and let's open some beers together and talk beers. So got some cool stuff planned for today. We're gonna walk through all the new beers, but mostly we really just want you guys to ask questions. So this is mostly a chance for you to throw your questions in the comments. We'll pull them up. We'll talk to them. We'll talk about the beers. We'll talk about the membership. And we have some pretty fun new people coming on today. So there's a few faces you haven't seen on this live stream before. And I'm excited to introduce a few of them. Jeremy, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but any opening words for the 2021 membership? How do you want to kick this thing off, dude? Yeah, no, absolutely. We have an awesome year planned.
There is geez, Daniel, how many beers are planned? Is it 130 this year or
136 for just packaged, I believe. Yeah.
So that's what we have planned. And there's some real I was gonna use the word bangers, but you said banger earlier. There's some real heavy hitters in there.
There we go.
Yeah, there's some real heavy hitters in there, and we have a handful of new double barrel aged beers that we're gonna unleash on the world, kind of in the family of the chocolate rain and the gray Monday. Those double barrel aged, really heavily adjuncted stouts. We have a couple of those that are coming, and then not everything is big and bold. There's going to be some very interesting subtle beers that are to come out this year. And then we also have, I would say, probably more cocktail-inspired beers this year than we've ever had. And that's saying a lot. So a lot of new flavors that we're going to be seeing both from the brewery and Brewery to Rue. Not to mention, or not to forget to mention, offshoot. The monthly releases are back, and then we have some really fantastic seasonal offerings that we're really excited about. Visions being the first one, and some other stuff coming up in the year. So what I'm saying is we have a lot of stuff planned, a lot of really cool things happening, and then it's my job and my fellow production managers' job to actually make those things happen. Which is, believe it or not, that's the easy part. A lot of faith in our team. So a lot of crazy concepts, and then we're going to work really hard to deliver all that stuff. So I'm pretty excited about what we have coming online this year.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm excited too. I think one of you mentioned all the cocktail inspired beers. We basically have a tiki month coming up next month, so lots of stuff to be excited about. I saw a comment asking what order we're going to be drinking in. I think this time we're going to do it a little different. We're not going to try and rush through every beer. I think we'll basically open what you want to. We're going to talk to all of the beers, but don't feel the need to try and open up 8 beers in an hour. Probably not advisable. And I know Jeremy and I don't want to do that. So we know the beers. We're going to talk to all of them, and let's just have a good time. So I'm going to bring on our first new guest on the show. So first up is gonna be, let's see, where's he at? Oh, there he is. Steve, what's up, Steve? So
hey, guys.
Active at all in our Beer Advocate forum, you've probably seen Saison Steve. Here's Saison Steve in real life. Who are you? What do you do? How long have you been with the brewery?
Cool. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, I'm Steve, digital marketing manager here at the brewery. Been here about almost 2 years now. It's gone by quickly, but ultimately I'm responsible for all the email communication. So I hit the send button on all of those, manage a lot of different technical aspects of our website. So the new website that's not so new anymore, we rolled it out in July. Had a big hand in that and all of the improvements that come along with that. Right now I'm drinking Visions, which is our double dry hopped IPA from Offshoot. And I'm super excited that this is on a Friday. Normally we do these on a Tuesday or a Thursday, so I get to drink a little bit more and not worry about tomorrow.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on. It's fun to have you here. Let's bring on, I think we have, if you know craft beer and you're in Orange County, you've probably seen this guy around before. Sam, what's up, man? Say hi, introduce yourself. What do you do here and what are you drinking?
So I am new to the tasting room. I started back in October and just down here slinging those beers for the people, giving them what they want. So my favorite beer out of these new ones is definitely going to be the old Spritz. I think that Keith and Jeremy really dial this one in really good, and it's lively and bubbly, but also has a full wine flavor, which I think is amazing. So I'm stoked on that one.
Nice.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Looks like you're actually at the tasting room right now too. So hopefully we'll see some other familiar faces pop in throughout this thing.
Got Ben right here.
I'm going that way, by the way.
What's up, Ben? Awesome, man. Cool. Thanks for hopping on. And last but not least, he's been on a few times. He's grown out his Harley Davidson riding hair right now. We got Connor. Connor, quick intro. Who are you? What do you do here? What are you drinking?
What's up? Drinking some Saison Breton. Really good. Kind of funk forward, old school Saison. It's really refreshing, especially for a hot day today. But back to the intro. I'm Connor. Been with the brewery a little over 4 years now. Currently handle the e-commerce side. So sales planning, getting beer up on the website for people to actually access and add to their cellar if they so choose. So yeah, all the fun behind the scenes stuff.
Awesome, dude. All right, well let's get into it. We're gonna, I guess Jeremy and I didn't tell you what we're drinking yet. So Jeremy, you wanna let everyone know what you opened up to start this thing off?
Yeah, I've got our new cookie stout. This is Girl Scout cookie inspired coconut, toasted coconut, cacao, tiny little bit of vanilla, little bit of graham cracker as well. It's absolutely fantastic. Big and bold stout on a nice hot January day. I mean, I don't know what I'm thinking, but I figured, this is what we sent out, for a lot of people who are watching today. So I figured I'd drink one of the beers that everybody else may or may not be drinking.
Nice, man. Cheers. All right, we're gonna start off, and I think.
Wait, what are you drinking?
I'm with Steve. I opened Visions.
All right.
Double dry hopped hazy IPA. Pretty fun story there. If anybody tried it, we did a DDH Relax last year, and really great response. So we kind of took some inspiration from that, and Jeremy and team made a really juicy like hop bomb. So I love it. I've been drinking this for the last month, I think when it came out, but great beer. Thanks for asking, Steve. Nobody ever asks me that. That's really nice.
I got you.
That's really cool.
Thanks, dude. Here's a good question before we start off. If you're going to try a bunch of things, any beer I should open first? I usually recommend opening something lighter. As you go through some of our stouts, you're going to lose a bit of your palate. So that's my opinion, but we have a taste maker, a taste expert with us. Jeremy, what would you suggest in this case?
You know what? Whatever your heart's desire. That's. I believe everybody should have what they want in life, and you should have it now. It is Friday, as Steve pointed out. So you got a long night ahead of you. You have time for all of them. But when you pick what you want first, you probably want more. You probably want me to just be like, give you an answer, but there you go.
I mean, the strategy is hopefully you have other people in your house, and so you can go halvesies on some of these beers and split them with other people.
Nah,
Good point.
Connor's like, no, lightweight.
So here's a good question, just because we just talked about it. Visions is going to be seasonal, so we're actually doing 3 seasonal offshoot releases this year. This is the first of 3, and this is actually a pretty fun one that you can find starting in the next few weeks. You'll be able to find at your local craft beer shops. It's hitting full distribution for us. Available right now all over California in our tasting rooms online, and it's going to slowly start hitting stores over the next 2 weeks. So keep your eyes open, keep your hearts open, and enjoy.
And you can go to thebrewery.com/find to find out where all of our distributed beers are.
That is a great point. You can find our beers on the website. So let's kick this thing off. Connor's going to lead us in with a little bit. We kind of wanted to open with this quarter's Preservation Society pack. So 4 beers every quarter. There's some really fun beers this year. And Connor's going to kind of do a quick walkthrough of what's in the box, and then we can answer any questions. If you're a first-time viewer or a first-time Preservation Society member, feel free to throw your questions in the comments, and we'll pull them up. We're here to answer questions. Connor, take it away.
Sure. So Daniel touched on it a little bit, but Preservation Society is kind of our quarterly membership. You get a curated package every quarter. For the last couple of years, it's been 4 beers. Along with that, you get some great benefits like a discount, access to member-only beers, stuff like that. And it's really great for new members if you're just starting to dip your toe into it, or people who've been in the beer scene for a while, because we really try to find like unique and adventurous beers to put in these packages, and especially like this quarter, stuff that's really approachable. Kind of some of the stuff that's really crazy over the top, a lot of adjuncts, and then stuff that's a little easier to drink, more subtle and fun. So first up, we got Elvis Mash. That's kind of our classic barley wine base. The Elvis treatment is peanut butter. I think it's some peanut flour and actual peanuts, along with banana puree, which really gave the mash an interesting color this time. It's really different than normal, and as well as a little sea salt. But yeah, I think the only other time we've done that like Elvis treatment was we did a Black Tuesday Elvis a few years ago for Black Tuesday party. So it's kind of the first time we're revisiting that treatment, and I think it works great in our barley wine base. Another one, a returning favorite, Freckles is in the PS pack. That's kind of our mole inspired stout. It's an imperial stout with cayenne, cinnamon, chocolate, and vanilla. The first time we did this, it was actually not barrel aged. It was just Freckle. This time Freckles is barrel aged. This is the first time we packaged barrel aged. I think maybe we had a barrel of a barrel aged Freckle that was only available at an anniversary party a few years ago, but this is the first time we've Sam's got a bottle there. It's another great beer. We've done that kind of mole inspired treatment a few times. So it happens it's Tuesday Mole was a really popular one from I think 2 years ago. And then moving into our Ruse side stuff, we've got Nectar Keen.
Can I hold you really quickly, Connor? There's a quick question I just want to touch on. Which flavor is more pronounced, peanut butter or banana? I'm going to toss this one to Jeremy, and it looks like Sam's tasting this one, so let's get his thoughts on it too. I know when I tasted it, I was actually peanut butter was strong, but the banana was kind of what shone really shined through for me, and I was really happy because I love that flavor in beer and in stout, so it's pretty exciting. But I'm going to toss it to the expert first, and then let's hear what. I like telling Jeremy he's the expert.
Okay, you had to say my name. You said expert. I didn't know who you were talking to. Could have been any of you.
Hey, sorry, Jeremy. I was actually talking to Steve.
Right. Yes.
Well.
Well, actually, this may come as a shock to everybody, but I truly think this beer is fairly balanced. I think we get both of the adjuncts. I think, interestingly, the salt is kind of the thing that makes everything pop. But for me, this beer is banana forward and banana heavy. You got a lot of banana on the nose, which is not easy to do. without an extract, but I think we accomplished that on this one. And then the peanut butter is there. I think one of the things we wanted to make sure we didn't do was not get the banana because we just had released the mashed PB&J in December. So you already have, a mashed, peanut butter type of thing, and the fruit on that was really, really good as well. But this one, the real showcase was the banana. So both of them are there. It's a little bit of a funky looking beer. So it even looks like a little bit like a cooked banana, which is, not the end of the world. But yeah, I think the banana is king here. And no pun intended, Elvis the king, you get it? One of the things too we talked about was, I guess Elvis would also put bacon on these sandwiches on occasion. So we talked about trying to figure out a bacon adjunct, but that's kind of still in everybody's mind of how to do a bacon infused beer, which someday we'll do. Sam, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Look out for the bacon pastry stout.
Yeah.
Man, that little bit of barrel character comes through as almost like a perceivable toastiness. So you might get it like a little bit of bacon on there. But to me, what's really cool is the brewers did a really good job of figuring out how to get that banana flavor. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a couple different types of banana in there. And to me, banana isn't usually good in beer, but this one I feel like is absolutely perfect. The mouthfeel is wonderful. It's luscious. It's full of flavor, and it's a knockout of the park for me. So
nice.
Good job on that.
Awesome. Quick question. What brings out the banana flavor? It's the banana adjuncts for sure. Just wanted to answer that one really quickly, but trying to keep this one to an hour. So let's keep going. Connor, I think you were speaking to Nectar King or Freckles. I don't remember which, but let's keep moving.
Yeah, Nectar King. Another kind of going more towards the approachable true beers in these PS packs. Something that kind of everybody can enjoy if you're not really into those really fruit forward acidic sours. I believe this is some of our. It's a food age saison blended with a little bit of sour blonde just to kick up the acidity a bit, and then it's loaded with a ton of fresh nectarines. I think Jeremy, were these Central Coast nectarines or something like that?
Yeah, it's exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so get a big fruit pop. We kind of hit this habit of all these stone fruit beers coming out to kick off every year, and this one's I think a little more approachable than the peach beers we've done in the past. It tastes great. I think the saison base is amazing. That takes us to our next one, which is Saison Breton. And, it's a really funk forward, refreshing beer. I'm actually drinking that now. You get a bottle in the PS pack, but you can also find cans online. And yeah, I think this is awesome. It's filled with Brett character. You get a lot of that funkiness. There's the bottle Sam's got. And so, yeah, that kind of rounds out the pack. I think this is, a great pack, especially to kick off the year. You kind of get a little bit of everything. You get some really adjunct heavy items along with some kind of refreshing, fun, fruity beers. And since we're getting our nice hot summer weather in January, nothing better than something to refresh you.
Awesome, man. Anybody want to add anything on to any of those beers?
Yeah, I actually do. Just onto the Nectar King, for a handful of members and brewery fans that have been with us for a number of years. I think Connor called it out. We've kind of, in January has been kind of the month of the big stone fruit sour beer, and we've gone in the direction of bolder, more sour, more peaches, more nectarines for about the last 4 years, to the point where we were, I don't know how much more stone fruit you could add to a beer, and we kind of hit the end of that project, and instead kind of returned it to a bit of subtlety, really. So using the saison base with the beer pod blend and doing a little bit of sour blonde to get the acidity that we wanted, and then kind of lowering the amount of nectarines that were used to to play with the saison and not take over the saison. It's just a little bit of a different approach. So I think those two Ruse saisons, both the Nectar-Keen and just the funky saison Breton, like Connor said, really do give you a couple of really approachable beers. But put in the pack itself, you have your barrel aging, you have heavy adjuncts, you have barley wine, you have stout, you have foeder beer, you have fruited saison. I think it covers pretty much everything. It's a good cross section of what we do all year long. So I think it's a fantastic Q1 package.
Awesome, and yeah, it's an exciting one. Quick question, and I don't know if we have the answer. Were the nectarines from a particular farm? I know we really enjoy working with our farmer friends at the brewery. We have a lot of farmer friends, but I don't know that off the top of my head. I don't recall.
But yeah, Kelsey, they were from a particular farm. Unfortunately, I don't know which farm they were from because actually one of our buddies that does a lot of supply for local farmers markets brought us these nectarines over a couple months period of time earlier in the summer. So my guess is that they were from multiple farms, depending on which drop and which harvest they were from. Either way, they're all California and they're all Central Valley. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. Let's keep going. So I think if you have questions about the beers, make sure to throw them in the comments. We'll keep pulling them up, keep answering. Any sort of general questions we'll probably save for the end. We'll just kind of do an open Q&A. If you want to ask Sam how he got his hair that way, Connor, how long his hair is now. I don't know why I'm so stuck on hair right now, but it was just the first thing I noticed. But let's keep going. So next beer up we wanted to talk about was actually what I was drinking right before we jumped on. So we all hop on a little early to do some tech work through, make sure our mics are working, but Spritz this is up next. I think it's a really, really fun beer. So basically it's a beer wine hybrid, but shrunk down a little bit. So Jeremy's a big fan of hanging out at the beach and drinking wine spritzers on the weekends. So we were kind of inspired by his weekend Instagram posts to create this beer. But yeah, I mean, I love it. It's super crushable, but you still get a ton of like actual wine profile off of it. But again, I'm not the expert. Let me go ahead and throw this over to the experts. Connor looks like he has a lot to say. Connor, you want to talk about this beer?
No, I'm laughing about Val. She wants me to put my hair in a ponytail. I'm not playing that.
Well, hey, I'll jump in on this one. I think nobody's more aware than the employees at the brewery of kind of our need for more drinkable and sessionable beers. Because after all, we drink our beers a ton. And Spritz this is a really nice answer to that at the other end of the spectrum. It doesn't compromise any of the flavor or nuance that that brewery beers are known for. And frankly, I don't think there are other beers out there that are like this. The beer wine hybrid that clocks in at 5.6% and is really, really enjoyable.
That was a great answer.
Yeah, I could second that. I mean, I think that it's a the Spritz life is a thing. I've subscribed. The deal with the Spritz life is this: you're looking for something that is flavor forward, but doesn't overtake your palate. Something that you could repeat and drink more than once. Something as well that is shocking isn't the right word, but something that when you hand it off to somebody else, they're surprised by it as you expect them to be. And I think this beer does hit all of that. And that was the concept. The concept was to make, something that was highly drinkable, highly satisfying, and a little bit guilt-free, if that's even possible. It's weird, but putting something in a sleek can makes it feel less, and makes it feel light, and makes it feel healthy, and makes it feel like you're not damaging your weekly plan of like how I'm going to remain healthy this week. You can rip a couple of these and really be quenched, if you will. So I think it does its deal. It delivers on that. And then the big deal about that too is it truly is, a beer and wine hybrid. This is not a, light-handed sort of process when making a beer. It's a light-handed product, but as far as process goes, it's very intensive and it's a thing. So what my hope is that we see, our customers really enjoy this product, and then we take that and we're like, hey, that worked out really well for us. Let's concept a little bit more on that and see what other kinds of Spritz hybrids we can offer. Whether they be more rosé focused or even white wine focused, it might be really cool. And then if that gets into the thing, then you look at all ways you can adjunct those and other subtle ways. I think of like different white wines that are low bodied and low alcohol that maybe they would take some adjunct, like maybe some Thai basil or something like that into a weird like Viognier or something might actually work well. So anyway, there's a whole idea of a spectrum of ideas that we have to make things work, but this is step one. So I'm pretty happy with it as it came out.
Jeremy, have we done any lighter beer wine hybrids before, both in terms of ABV and palate? Because I know most of us are familiar with beer wine hybrids with the Rutherford series and this year Peter Veter. But to my knowledge, this is really kind of the first lighter beer wine hybrid that we've done.
Yeah, I mean, especially in my time at the brewery, I mean, there was a couple of beer wine hybrids before I started 6 years ago that they were not this light, Steve, but maybe a little less heavy-handed than the product.
Than an imperial stout.
Yeah, maybe even a little less heavy-handed than the products that I've been involved in making, which is every beer wine hybrid in the last 6 years. But that was my style then, right? And I think there's something to making products and becoming a different maker through time. When I was younger and I started making wines, I only made big, bold, heavy wines, and as I started to get a little bit older, I started making lighter, things that weren't so aggressive to my palate. And quite honestly, I'm doing that same thing in beer now, of being like, well, wait a minute, like we've been doing this for, and I keep, it's kind of like what I was saying about Nectar King earlier. We keep driving in one direction, and then at a certain point, you're like, God, how much further can I go? And I can go further, but is that interesting? Like maybe it's not interesting. And ultimately, what's interesting to me only works for a little while. Ultimately, the customer has to show us what they want. And so I think that this is an opportunity for that.
I thought last year a really interesting one we did that's kind of maybe a half step in this direction was Tarusco. That was a really high carb, lighter red wine type.
Yeah,
hybrid. That one was, I really, really enjoyed that beer. And that was kind of, I think, a little like the progression from these big wine hybrids to like maybe something a little lighter. And then you got Spritz this on the other end of the spectrum.
No, I think that's a good point. Because that beer was inspired by a Lambrusco, right? And if anybody's ever had a Lambrusco, like they're generally like not very expensive. They're generally, super drinkable. You drink it with an appetizer before a meal, and that's what we're aiming for. And I think you're right, Connor. I wasn't quite thinking about that, but yeah, if we have to go back and like the ancestral, genealogy of this beer, like it is definitely related to that Tarusco for sure.
Awesome, dude. All right. I hate to be the guy who keeps pushing us along, but I keep saying we're going to make this a happy hour. And we just want to drink longer. We've yet to do that. So we're going to try. If we're saying we want to make something that our fans want, the comments on Facebook and YouTube are clearly saying that there's something to this Spritz, this series. So guys, if you like stuff, that's the best way to let us know. Tell us you like it, and they'll keep coming out. So I think a Spritz series is very possible, but let us know you like it. Okay, so let's keep moving. Next up, we're going to talk about the first beer that Steve and I were drinking. So Visions is next on our checklist. So this is from Offshoot, which, as many of you know, is the offshoot of the brewery, where we get to focus on hops. So very hop-focused beers, hazies, West Coast IPAs, hoppy lagers. And Visions is actually inspired by, like I mentioned before, DDH Relax, which we released last year. So we, just like this, like I'm asking for, we got a ton of great feedback, and we decided it was a beer worth going for. So this has kind of been my regular IPA in my fridge for the last month since it dropped. It's big, it's juicy, it's relax on steroids, if you would. So I guess I'll toss it over to Sam. Looks like he has a lot to say about Visions. So Sam, give us your read on Visions, and let's talk about it. What do you think?
This one is super awesome to me. I think the crazy part is that I get to actually deal with it on tap. So immediately when I open that handle, the aroma hits me, even with a mask on, which I think is kind of crazy. It's like, not that all our other beers don't do that, but this one is like the double dry hopped. You can smell it. It's great. It's full flavor. It's aromatic. It
lingers on the palate a little longer than some of the other hazies we've done too.
You get like this, like all these cool fruit notes. Like right now I'm getting peach. Do you guys get peach off of that?
I get some stone fruit. Jeremy's tasting it. Yeah, I think it's sad to say because this has been out like almost a month, and this is actually the first time I'm trying it. And this beer is amazing. I think I don't know. It's really good. It's one of our better ones, I think. I mean, we've kind of nailed these hazy IPAs, I think, in recent years, and this one you get a little bit more of that like hop bite, lingers on the palate a little bit longer. The hops, they're not like, it's not a West Coast IPA, but the hops let you know they're there. I don't know, it's really enjoyable. I could see this being a good beer for the summer or the 85-degree January.
I think this will be a beer people keep coming back for.
Yeah, Connor, I think you nailed it when you said that we've kind of dialed in the hazies recently. And our strategy for Offshoot over this next year is to do some seasonal releases that go to distribution. This last year or two, as we've done the monthly releases from Offshoot, the comments are always, can I get this in Texas? Can I get this in this state? And so our approach this year is to really focus on a couple of different Offshoot beers that we think really represent the brand well, are fantastic. And we're going to send those to distribution. And Visions is the first of that beer. And so we're really excited to get Visions out to everybody that we know isn't necessarily in California and close to the brewery.
Well said. I think, I mean, these seasonals are really inspired by these small batch, tasting room only, online only drops that people have been going crazy for. So we're excited, and we've just seen a lot of excitement around getting some of these smaller batches into retail. So Whole Foods, like your favorite bottle shops, all these cool little grocery stores, you're going to start seeing Visions pop up in the next few weeks. And then we also have, we have an experimental IPA planned for it. And what was the third one, Jeremy? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, for the summer seasonal, we have a clear pale ale, Amarillo hop. So if you guys remember some of the Amarillo hopped pilot beers we had in the tasting room last year, those are the pilots and the genesis of Drifting, which will be out in the summertime. And then that'll be our clear pale ale, nice little drinker, perfect for the summer. And then later in the year, we'll have Pathways, which will be kind of an experimental hazy IPA as well. By experimental, I mean we haven't figured it out yet. we're not experimenting. Yeah, we're going to be experimenting with some not only different dry hopping techniques, but some different hop products, if you will, extracts, lupulin powders, like things like that. So it'll be a little more process esoteric, if you will, and that's the plan. So ideally, these 3 seasonals that we're releasing are things that are core or 4 core offshoot beers don't cover off on. So we have obviously Relax is our hazy. We have Retreat, the double hazy unwind, the Hoppy Pills, and then the Escape, the West Coast IPA. These 3 beers are designed to play with that set and add a little bit more diversity to the offshoot distribution.
Awesome, man. Okay, I'm gonna keep us moving. So next we're gonna, so that if any of you raise your hand if you purchased or you're trying the virtual happy hour pack, it's pretty obvious there are quite a few canned pastry stouts in there. So I think we'll quickly touch on all of them, but in general, I think we just wanted to really talk about the program in general. So, I mean, as most people know, I mean, we've for a long time been known for high ABV, big stouts, and in big package formats, and I think these monthly drops. So they gave us a chance to kind of play around with a little bit lower ABV, heavily adjuncted stouts. And that's really been driven by the man right here, Jeremy, our resident tastemaker. So a lot of that's been newer for us, but really our plan is every month we'll have obviously member first releases. Anything that's left over goes to the public mid-month. But I guess really it'd be interesting to hear Jeremy talk a little bit about the smaller format and this pastry stout concept, and then we can kind of quickly touch on the pastry stouts included in the pack. And if you guys have questions about any of the stouts in there, now's the time, ask us. I think we have like 3 or 4 pastry stouts in this pack. Connor can probably list them out better than I can, but yeah. Questions?
There's 3 of them, but you get 2 cans of the new one. 2
cans of the new one. All right, go for it, Jeremy. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, ideally these canned pastry stouts are, really a line extension from the products that we've been making over the years. They're an opportunity for us to try new beers and new adjuncts and concepts that eventually may make their way into more esoteric beers in the future. But it really is like kind of our proving ground and playing space. Like for instance, we'll just go back to last year. We did a what was that beer? Was it a cheesecake beer? Was that like
Yaya's?
Yeah, it's raspberry cheesecake.
Raspberry cheesecake. That was something that what was an interesting process try for us, right? We've been playing around with it on the pilot scale for quite a while, and then decided that if there was going to be a place for it, it would be in this pastry stout sweet area, right? The idea is that to take a raspberry cheesecake and decide that this is going to be a big Black Tuesday treatment, a $42-$43 bottle. There's a lot of, we're gambling a ton on that, but to take that esoteric concept and then throw it at a, I don't want to say a lesser beer, but a lesser risk, and throw it in a can and have it be this monthly beer that's sold for the month and then it's gone. It's not something we're trying to hold on to for a couple of years and find the right buyer for this really high-end bottle. It's just a way for us to prove a concept. That being said, the other aspect to that is that when we make these stouts, there's a little less pressure on us to not have to repeat history. So when we do, the 10th release of Chocolate Rain, it's kind of a thing. And when Chocolate Rain doesn't deliver to what our customers feel like it should be, we certainly hear about it, and we hear about it based on what they thought of the beer in 2013 versus 2017 or whatnot. And these new pastry stouts are a way to kind of protect the work that we've done in the past that we're husbanding for the future, and an opportunity as well to like still have a proving ground. and play in a way that is a little bit less risk for us, risk adverse, if you will. There's small batches; they'll be gone in a month. It's not going to hang around very long. So it's just an opportunity to play and have a good time.
Awesome. There's a few questions. I'm gonna run through these really quickly, and then I think we can kind of move on a little bit. But let's do. Okay, let me pull these up. I'm sorry. Here's a good one. So Ellie Moot. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Yee pastry stouts. What's the difference between Pago Pago and coconut macaroon? Who wants to take this one?
Man, I really think that sounds like a Connor type of question, but I'll take a stab at it first and let him fill in any voids that I may have. But I would say the main difference for me is the graham cracker and the toasted coconut. So coconut macaroon is using a raw coconut and vanilla. Also, there's no chocolate in coconut macaroon. No, there is. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Isn't it?
Coconut vanilla.
I got so many beers.
Vanilla.
Yeah, no chocolate.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so it's a cookie, right? So the whole deal is we're trying to add that chocolate from the bottom. We're trying to add the graham cracker to give that. Obviously, it's not going to be a crunch because it's liquid, but that sensation of that flavor, that base flavor, and then everybody knows that cookie. You can't just have coconut; you have to have toasted coconut. So that would be the major difference. Would be the coconut is toasted. It's added the cacao and a little bit of graham cracker.
You also got the I think the dulce de leche that kind of imitates the caramel flavor, right?
No, there's no dulce.
No dulce in this one.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this one had it.
Mm-mm.
I do want to call out the toasted coconut because there is no better smell than toasted coconut. When you pull into the brewery parking lot in the morning and they've been toasting coconut, it immediately, as soon as you step out of your car, you can smell it in the parking lot. And I think that toasted coconut, while it smells good as an employee, it also really comes through in the beer. And like you said, I think that's one of the main distinctions between those two beers.
For sure.
Yeah, I think we've done the biggest example we've done in the past was mash and vanilla, where we had 1 year was mash and coconut, where I think 2017 was fresh coconut and 18 was toasted, and those are completely different beers. They taste so different with the fresh vanilla versus or fresh coconut versus toasted. It's really surprising how much the flavor changes just with just simply toasting an ingredient before you put it in.
Yeah, I think it also messes with the mouthfeel a little bit. The oils are different, and the extraction of the beer takes the oil out. It's just a little bit different.
All right, I'm gonna keep moving through questions. I'm sorry to cut everyone off, but I'm gonna keep us moving. We got a lot of beers to work through. So here's a good one. I'm gonna hand this one over to Steve. And we're actually going to walk through some of this later. But Christine asks, when do the Reserve Society beers go into our cellar?
So they should already be there. If they're not, reach out to us and we'll make sure we get that taken care of. I will go over a couple different ins and outs of the website in a few minutes here. But the short answer is they should be there now.
I'll kind of tack onto that in that if you're expecting your full year's worth of beers to be in your cellar, we release them month by month if you're a brand new member. So one of the things that we won't compromise on is aging in barrels. So we won't release a beer unless it's ready to be released, right? So if we taste it and we say not ready, we won't put it into your cellar. We'll let you know that it's coming out a month later. So basically our plan right now is every month you'll get an included beer for the month, but the full lineup isn't going to be in your cellar right now. So you'll get them as they're ready to be consumed and enjoyed. But again, that's with an asterisk because if we don't think it's ready, we're not gonna put it out there. So didn't mean to hijack that one. Just wanted to tack onto that. I think there's a few more good questions. Oh wow, there's a lot of good questions.
The amount of detail that that goes into these beers as being one of the newcomers to all this is pretty amazing. Like, it's nice to work for a brewery that says, no, we were not going to release this yet. We're going to wait till it's right, you know?
Here's a good one. Just because I think we might see a little bit of it. I don't mean to cut it off. Actually, respond to that first, because that's a better point than this question. But Jeremy, it sounded like you had something to say.
Well, I was just going to say to that, like those aren't easy decisions, but they have to be made, and we try not to do that. Like it's very rare that we hold the beer back and say that it's not ready. It's hard to do, but we reserve the right to do so, and we will. If it's in the benefit of the beer and the member experience as well. But yeah, agreed.
Cool. How is brewing with nuts, walnuts, and off fudge? How does the nut oil affect the brew?
Well, yeah, good question. This is a cold side addition for the walnut, so this actually doesn't get in the actual brew. It happens when the actual fermentation is over, almost like a dry hopping, if you will, like you would do on an IPA. But you know, also kind of like an IPA, you know, a lot of the flavor, you know, from the hops comes from the oil. You know, the stickiness in the resin, if you will. The same thing would be said about you know, nuts in beer. It all comes from that oil. So the oil affects the beer in a positive way as far as a flavor perspective, but it doesn't always affect the beer in a positive way as far as an appearance perspective. So we've made some beers in the past where most of these beers that you would see like this in the past, you'd see in the tasting room off the pilot system, where you'll see actual oil in the beer, or you'll see something floating in the beer to some degree. So the oil is necessary to get the flavor, and the adverse effects of that, if there's too much, is that you actually see it, or it'll affect the head retention of the beer itself. So, you know, it just happens. There's some styles of beer out there that'll always show a very good foam stabilization, and then there's other beers that no matter if it's a, you know, nuts, walnuts, or almonds or anything, or whether it's a copious amount of raspberries or whatever it is, it's going to affect the head retention of the beer. So there's a visible part of the beer experience that's changed because of the adjuncts. So long story short, you know, if you ever buy a stout that's got 55 different ingredients in it, it's probably not going to look much like a normal beer. You know, it's probably not going to behave the way that our Hellas will behave. You know, because it's at that point, it's not really a beer anymore. You know, it's an American concoction at that point. If that makes any sense.
It's a cowboy beer.
Cowboy beer.
All right, I'm going to keep this going. I think this is a really good.
Just real quick thought on off fudge, because that's what I'm drinking. And we're talking about the nuts. I actually hate nuts in my cookies and brownies, but I think it adds a whole lot of character to this beer. It almost adds a savory complexity and complement to the chocolate. It's not just a straight chocolate bomb. So really happy that those were added to this beer.
This one's cool because it has the cocoa powder versus cocoa nibs, so you get more of that milk chocolate flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little more bitter too.
Here's another Jeremy question, but I think it's a good one. As far as the pastry stouts go, and I'm gonna kind of assume that. Also, hi Robert, good to see you, man. Hoarder, second-year hoarder, great guy. Do you recommend we consume as soon as they are ready? I think mostly this is a question coming out of the fact that they're heavily adjuncted, and you can see adjunct flavors kind of react differently with time. So I guess I'll drop this one again. Sorry to keep throwing you on the spot, Jeremy.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Generally speaking, when we're, you know, just as we were talking earlier, we won't release a beer when it's ready until it's ready. We won't release a beer unless it's quality approved and we can stand behind it. And if we do release it and there's a quality problem, we will stand behind it and we will make the right moves to rectify any problems. But the beers that are easy for us to produce, or not easy, but from a time constraint, are these fresh or more fresh canned pastry stouts. So do I think you need to drink them right away? No, I don't think you need to, but I don't think those beers have any chance of getting any better whatsoever. I just, there's no, it's in a can that's sealed. It can't age. It can't breathe. It can't do anything. So like, if anything, the only thing that's going to happen over a 3-month period is degradation. It's not going to get better. Now, the argument could be said that, aging a Ruse bottle for 3 years, will make it a different beer, and it's a live beer, and it probably will. The argument can also be made that, aging a Black Tuesday for a couple of years makes the beer better. I don't know that it makes the beer better, but what it does is it makes the beer better for you when you want to consume it when you want to. And I can stand behind that, but for the cans, I don't buy into any logic that says that this can is going to get any better, especially from the products that we're making, that we're putting in cans. I think those cans are ready to consume. And to take it one step further, if this year you have a can of Black Tuesday in your hand and a bottle of Black Tuesday, and you're asking me which one should I drink, the answer is drink the can, save the bottle.
Yeah,
that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I agree with Jeremy. There's no reason you can't hold on to them if you really want to, but they're never going to taste better than when we release them. That's when all the flavors are at their peak freshness. Nothing's falling off. It's how the brewers intended it. They decided this beer was ready. We released it. So I mean, you're never going to taste it better than when it comes out.
And cans are so drinkable.
Exactly.
Good shotgun.
All right, we're gonna keep going. So next segment. This is mostly, so if you're an OG member, or if you feel like you know the site back and forth, you don't need any help, or you know exactly how to use your membership, this is the time for you to get up, go refill your beer, use the restroom. Jeremy, where are you going? Right now we're gonna
I thought you were talking to me.
No, I'm talking to everybody watching. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to actually, Steve and Connor, we're going to walk through how to use the website, because we recently, as most of you members know, we did a big revamp on the website. So we re-platformed. We kind of mixed up the way you use the website as a member and pick your beers and have your beer shipped to you. So Steve's going to take some time to walk you through that. And throw your questions out, because this is important to us. I'm sure you all have questions. There's a lot going on with these memberships. So I'm going to kind of hand it over to Steve, but we're going to be back. So we're going to do this in about 10 minutes. We're going to come back to beers. So we're going to talk through the rest of the beers, some of the big guys. We're going to talk through Creme Brulee, Baked on the Bayou, Still Black Tuesday, and then we're going to end with an open forum. So that's your chance to ask whatever you want. Ask Connor.
You only got 7 minutes.
Ask Connor why he's a fan of whatever team that is back there. I forget.
Man City, baby.
Yeah, Man City. All right, let's do this. So, Steve, tell us what's going on. What do we want to talk about?
Sure. Yeah, and I'll try and keep it brief. At the end of the day, it is a website, and we did try and build it as intuitively as possible, so it doesn't need a ton of explanation. But Daniel, if you want to go ahead and put up that first of the screenshots. So just for context, societies now are as big as they've ever been before. We focused a ton over this last year on the quality of the beer and the membership experience. And, that resulted in the 2021 societies being big. And a lot of that was driven by new members. So we're really happy to have you. And I'm just going to walk through a couple basics on the website. So the first thing is we've had a couple questions about how you add things to Cellar. And so this is your checkout screen. What you're going to want to do is where it says how to get your beer is do Cellar or delivery. So go ahead and enter your address and move on to the next page. Daniel, go ahead. And so it's just as simple as checking the add to cellar. And so when you complete your order, those beers will populate in your cellar. And so that's one way you can add beers will appear in your cellar. The other way, Daniel, if you go to the next one, is through included bottles. And we touched a little bit on that earlier. Included bottles are exactly what they sound like. They're bottles that are included as part of your membership. It was a good point that Daniel made that we only put the current month's beer into your cellar. So you won't see the entire year in your cellar at the beginning of the year. We aim for the first week of the month. So whether that's the first or that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday afterwards, which is when allocations go on sale, we aim to have those beers in your cellar at that time. Occasionally, you will see a beer in your cellar that's opaque or grayed out, and that means that it's in your cellar, it's yours, but the beer's not quite ready. It's not ready for fulfillment. But this included screen. So when you log in and you're in your account, there are a couple different tabs at the top. The included tab will just tell you which beers are included as part of your membership. So for this sample membership, it's a brewery, Reserve Society brewery preference. So Baked on the Bayou is included for January. On the next page, the next tab, is your allocations. And so, the major benefit beyond the beer that's included is allocations. You get access to beers that just simply aren't available to the public. And so your allocations tab is where you can buy those beers. You have the beer, the price, and then limits. And for the new members, limits are what they sound like. They're the quantity that you're allowed to buy. They can be as low as 1 bottle, or I think our max allocation on this platform is something like 16. So this is where you can buy those bottles. If you click on them or hover your mouse over them, it's as easy as adding to cart. And then on the next one is your cellar tab. So this is where all the beer that you've sent to your cellar will go. That includes your included bottles and the beers that you've purchased. And it's as easy as clicking the plus button for the beer that you want. You click the plus button. If you have more than one, so here it says 1 available, but if you had 4 or 5 available, there would be a plus and minus button for you to increment or decrement the beers to add to your cart. So this is probably the biggest feature of the new website. And so we're really happy to be able to provide you with a visual representation of everything that you've bought. And it's pretty cool. And it's as easy as adding the beers that you want to your cart. And then on the right-hand side, you select if you want your beer delivered or if you want to schedule a pickup. So if you're going to be picking up from California or DC, you would do that option. That's really all I have in terms of website. If you need help, you have a couple different options. There's the live chat on the website, which is typically staffed during normal business hours. You can email society@thebrewery.com. If it's a DC related question, meaning you want to pick up from DC or something like that, the DC team will probably be able to help you fastest and best, and that's DC@thebrewery.com. So those are really your two big options: email and chat.
I think you're muted, Daniel.
No, I'm not. What are you talking about? Okay, so how does getting things from cellar, local delivered, work with minimum purchase for free delivery? Do they count at all? So no, so we actually, because they're $0 at the point of requesting the pickup, we do have that $5 minimum. So I think overall, like it's local delivery is one of the things we're really proud of. So as we pivoted with COVID, we were able to successfully keep all of our tasting room staff employed by pivoting to local delivery, right? So we have a big operation going, and I think we put out a post a few weeks ago. But thank you to all of you. I mean, we've put out in a matter of months like thousands of local delivery orders. And so if you don't know how that works, local delivery, you can go to our website and click on the FAQ. There is a zip code requirement, but basically all of Orange County and most of Los Angeles County, if you order before 2 p.m., we'll deliver it the same day. So $50 minimum for free delivery, $5 if there's no charge to it. And I think I'm pretty proud of it. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but man, that was a fast move by the team, and we're getting people daily.
Yeah, and just a quick follow up on that, logistically speaking, on the website. To do local delivery, it's actually technically a shipping method. So you would check out like you wanted to ship it, and then the option would be local delivery.
Yeah, it's great. We have a big team that does that, and Jake over at Society is doing a really good job on that. So, good.
So here's another good question. Can I have a cellar beer added to my local shipment? Absolutely. So when you're checking out, you can actually shop from your cellar page, just like a regular collection page. So if you go to your cellar and add that to your cart, then you can go shop the rest of the new beers, and when you check out, you can choose local delivery as your option. And again, if you get it in before 2, we'll get it to you the same day. Wow, lots of questions coming in.
I was gonna say, just to follow up on that from like a technical aspect, when you do a seller request, you're technically initiating a cart. So when you add something to when you request something from your seller, you're starting a cart. So if you want to add more beer to that, just simply go back to the homepage, and you can keep adding things to your cart. And so that's one way you can get your included beer delivered for free, is just buy more beer.
Cool.
There you go.
Nice. That's the marketer in Steve.
Right.
So we have a few questions about expansion. So we're slowly expanding. I think San Diego is a thought, but I think that there's also a really cool option where if you order before 2 p.m., San Diego, that covers our next day delivery. So we can't get it to you the same day, but with our partners, we can deliver it to you the next day in San Diego. And that also follows for this question. That's not it. Someone commented, Dana Point. So same thing. We can get it to you next day if you order before 2 p.m. Same thing for Corona. I saw that question. We are working on expanding it, but we like, as many of you know, just like with our beers, we kind of take our time, try to do things the right way, and make sure we're making a good decision. So we're definitely looking at expanding, but there's not any plan right now in the immediate future for that to happen.
And we're building local delivery to be sustainable. Our goal is to actually keep doing local delivery past whenever COVID ends. So, we want to make sure that if we introduce a new territory, whether it be Corona, Dana Point, or San Diego, that it's also around for the long haul. So, suffice to say, we're looking and hoping to expand, but we don't have any concrete plans quite yet.
So here's another one. Can we order from the tasting room for local delivery? Sort of. So we do have a select amount of crowlers on the website. And so if you order crowlers online, that's filled from the tasting room, obviously. But right now, it's only a select amount of beers that you can put in crowlers and ship out. So I guess the answer is sort of.
Yeah, a lot of the beers are covered. We try and get the cool, fresh, new pilot beers up there as part of crowlers. A lot of the other kind of regular beer, everyday beers we sell those as bottles or cans. So they may be available, just not in a crowler format, a draft format, which is actually better because those are going to last longer anyway. The stuff that's been packaged on our professional systems and stuff. But I think the crowlers will change as new stuff comes in, and we try to keep those stocked. I guess shopping directly from the tasting room, no, but yes, we'll try and keep the cool, interesting, unique crowlers up for you.
Those pilot beers did really good. Like we don't get more, but we had the Island Holiday, but we still have that chocolate covered caramel waffle cone, which is always really fun to say fast. That comes from us, that comes from the Pilot Brewing, Nate and that team back there doing a really good job on those. And so if you want to get it from the tasting room, that's what you get, those pilot beers.
This is your chance to get a DTC pastry stout before it comes out. These are the pilots for that series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point, Sam. So actually, I think one of the things we do is the innovation program that Jeremy leads, and sort of these pilot beers. They always go through the tasting room first, right? We like to play around and experiment, and And so if you keep your eye on it, we do offer all of our small batch pilot beers go through the website, and we're crowlering them in 16-ounce crowlers and 32-ounce crowlers, I believe. So
a lot of the pilot stuff we only do 16 ounce because
they're so small, right?
Small batch.
Yeah, there's not enough.
But yeah.
Cool. So let's keep going. I think there were a lot of good questions. Anxiously watching. So Matthew Austin. But yes, we do deliver to Long Beach now. As a Long Beach resident, it's been great. But yeah, that's a city we're hitting.
You just added Long Beach for yourself.
That was why it was the first city, dude. All right, let's keep going. So we talked about the website. We'll have sort of an open forum at the end, but we're gonna move back to beers. So next up, we're gonna talk about this year's Ruse, which I actually thought was in a really cool package. I saw a lot of comments about these bigger beers or some of these beers coming in smaller formats, and we wanted to play around with that with Ruse. So it's in green glass, small package, 375 milliliter. Jeremy, I think you're probably the man to open up about this beer, but tell us a little bit about Ruse.
Yeah, so Ruse, long history with the brewery and Brewery True. Probably in my top 5 beers as far as brands that the brewery makes. I absolutely love this beer. I love this beer before I started at the brewery. And it's been my privilege and honor to blend that beer over the last 6 years. And we took a break from Ruse for a couple of years, and then returned. I believe it was last year. Connor, correct me if I'm wrong, with Ruse Reserve.
I think that was 2019, like the tail end of 19.
Okay. So yeah, we released Ruse Reserve, and we did a little bit different blending on Ruse Reserve. Like, we had taken a couple years off of Ruse, so we had some barrels that were well past the 3-year-old mark, in the 4.5 years. So Ruse Reserve really was like not only the best barrels, but like finding a way to use these barrels that had aged for 4 years that were really exceptional, but like super weird, like just super weird and super funky. So I feel like we did a great job blending that beer, or more importantly, I think Keith Familia, production manager at True, did a great job with that beer. But when we were looking at releasing Ruse, potentially Ruse Reserve this year, I didn't think that we really had the stock that I wanted to reproduce a reserve beer. But instead, I wanted to shift a little bit and kind of bring a little bit of the old world packaging back, and then also like just looking at Ruse, it's always been in the 750. It's never been in anything different. With Ruse Reserve, we put it under cork and crown. We tried to make it a little special. We put it in a green bottle. We did some stuff, and this time I was just kind of looking at it, thinking like, well, let's not make Ruse Reserve. Let's make Ruse, but let's also like, try to forward the packaging a little bit to make it different than anything we've ever done before. And so enter, the green 375, and this is packaged under crown with no cork. So a little bit easier to get into. You don't need two tools. One tool will get you into the bottle. But anyway, the same style of beer. I mean, just a really fantastic 3-year goose-inspired blend. The only thing that differentiates this beer from the Spontanaheim and the Onus series is the fact that it's not truly spontaneous. This is a cultured beer that we've been making for quite a while. But the beer, I'll tell you one thing, the beer in the bottle is great. I know that because I know the beer intimately. I know it very well. I knew it before I got to the brewery. I've been working with it for a long time. But the real innovation here, although it sounds silly, it's not very innovative, is just a small, easily crushable bottle. I'm going to drink mine tonight right out of the bottle, which is,
Fuck yeah.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it in Whittier, right, Steve? Whoop, whoop.
That was cranberry juice.
That's how we're doing it tonight, anyway.
Okay, I just asked everybody if they have questions. Make sure to throw any questions about the beers into the comments. I'm going to keep moving. next up, creme brulee. Obviously, we had to do Rue in the brulee. But let's talk about creme brulee. So pretty fun beer, barley wine inspired by obviously creme brulee. Collaboration with Three Sons. Our buddy Corey came out from Florida. Man, it's been almost a year since he was out here. Jesus.
Correct.
So let's talk a little bit about this beer. And again, this is one of the ones. Yeah, I mean, Jeremy spearheaded. It was fun having beers with Corey, kind of formulating the ideas. But tell us a little bit about this beer, and then I kind of want to hear. Sam looks like he has a lot to say about this one.
Cool.
And just so you know, Sam took a sick photo. I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna throw it up right now. So.
Cool. Well, let me start it out real quick, and I'll kick it over to Sam very quickly. Oh, that is nice. So anyway, Corey was in town last year in February, right before the COVID. Maybe he brought the COVID. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
Don't put that on him.
I think maybe. But anyway, he came out, and we're hanging out, and we're talking about, he'd never been to the brewery, and so it was it was a big deal for him to get to see what we do and how we do it. And then we spent our day tasting barrels, and we're talking about making a beer together. And the more barrels we tasted, he fell in love with some 3-year-old barley wine that we had in barrels, and was commenting about the caramel flavors and all this kind of stuff. And so we very quickly pivoted. My idea was to get this beer out last year. The reason we didn't brew a beer and use barrel-aged beer was we were going to very quickly execute this beer. But that didn't happen, and we threw it on the schedule for January of this year. So we executed toward the tail end of last year. But ideally, what the concept came from the fact that these barrels were already tasting that way. There was this heavy, burnt caramel thing, and creme brulee just kind of was the thing, that we wanted to play with. Salt was kind of the key in this beer as well. And then the name comes from just riffing off of, the weird spelling of the brewery as well. That's all I have to say about the creation of the beer, Sam. I'd love to hear your thoughts and notes on the taste of the beer and take it away.
Yeah, this beer is unlike anything I've ever tasted before. You got
if I had a nickel for every time I heard somebody describe a brewery beer like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have $1. This salt makes it so it's not too sweet, because barley wines tend to have that sweeter note, and the dulce de leche gives it that perfect creaminess, and it's just overall it's one of my favorite beers I've ever tasted. It's unreal, actually. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
we got to send some bottles out to Corey. We haven't done it yet, but Daniel and I talked about it today, so we're gonna get that done. But I love the beer. It's very good.
They're coming, Corey. Okay, we got a lot of good questions coming in.
Also, it's small. There's not a lot of it, so if you like it, you better buy it. It ain't gonna stick around long.
I think let's move on to the next beer because we have a lot of pretty good general questions that I want to get to at the end. So next one, Baked on the Bayou, inspired by Keith Camellia, living in New Orleans. I mean, I keep going back to Jeremy, but you're the only production guy on the team right now. So
well, Keith, this is Keith's beer, and Keith is always on the bayou eating Morganza cake.
Morganza cake and crawfish. That's all he eats.
He eats crawfish and Morganza cake for dessert. And Morganza cake apparently is this praline kind of thing. And so we kind of took, Keith was a chugglin about this beer, and we kind of took that to heart, So really, it's a stout, a big beer. Lots of there's dulce in it. There's pecans, right? There's pecans in this beer.
I think it's actually pecans.
Oh,
pecans, not pecans. No, pecan's what you go in when you go porta potties.
I think they're pecans.
Anyway, I think it's a fantastic stout. If anybody, and I know we didn't have our Black Tuesday party this year, but we did have some treatments on the tasting room. We had a Morganza cake treatment on a Black Tuesday big beer, and truly that was a pilot for this beer. A way to check out those flavors, see how they work. and then turn them into the next beer in the lineup. So I don't know, pretty fantastic cake inspired beer. There's the pecans, and some vanilla beans and some chocolate, and then there's the cake right there.
Awesome. Megan wanted to let us know it's pronounced pecan. I don't know how to read that.
P-A-N. All right.
That's how you pronounce it.
Yes.
With the capital.
Yeah.
What's the just my own question? What goes into the base on this one, Jeremy? The stout base.
So this is a bourbon barrel aged stout, as we're calling it. This is mostly still happens this Tuesday, but a little bit of Black Tuesday as well.
Sweet.
How would you describe the body of this one?
Curvy.
Yeah.
Voluptuous.
All right. Well, I'm going to move on to Still Black Tuesday.
Frosting.
All right. So last beer of the night, Still Black Tuesday. I think this one is one of the most fun in two ways. It's pretty different, and the packaging's pretty spectacular, but Still Black Tuesday. So, Jeremy, tell us a little bit about it. I know it's packaged completely still.
Right.
It's a little bit void of bourbon character, but despite all of that, it's still Black Tuesday, right?
Yeah, it remains Black Tuesday. It remains to this day. So, ideally, what the deal is here is that we.
Connor liked that one.
So in 2017, we're making a beer. I believe it was, without counting in my head backwards, I believe it was Elizabeth Rutherford. And I don't want to say that I over-ordered on French oak puncheons, but we had 3 puncheons that didn't get filled with our wine beer hybrid. And, these are, $1,400 barrels. A puncheon is a 132-gallon barrel. And so they're kind of sitting there, and we decided just to, when we were barreling down Black Tuesday, to fill these 3 French oak puncheons. So these are brand new barrels, never had any liquid in them before. So certainly they weren't bourbon barrels, and they weren't any other sort of spirit barrel, which is generally what you put Black Tuesday in, and that's how we harvest it from there. And but so basically, this beer is void of any spirit character whatsoever, but had been aged in these French oak barrels for 3 years, and I had a really fun time, leading other brewers through our cellar and tasting this beer. I also, tasted it with a handful of members who were, in the cellar at different times. I'd give them a little sneak, hey, taste this. But ideally what it is it's a beer void of what normally is a part of Black Tuesday. So it's still Black Tuesday. It remains to be that. It's packaged still under cork. And truly, I really think it's fantastic. It tastes like Black Tuesday, but it doesn't taste like Black Tuesday. It actually has a thicker mouthfeel than Black Tuesday to me, and it's 100% still. So, but it is very wood forward. It's tannic from the oak, but it has a lot of vanillin from the French oak too. So it's a really interesting beer. It's not made to be a beer that this isn't the direction that Black Tuesday is going. This isn't anything like that. This is just like a one-off. Like, this is a really interesting thing that we did, and I think it's, I think it's going to be a jewel in the crown of 2021. Really, like I think it's going to be a really special beer. Even that's a beautiful sight back there.
Oh yeah, service.
Yeah, look at that. But I think it's a beautiful beer, and I think it's very interesting. And Black Tuesday, I don't know if that beer will ever get tired. But like I just feel like there's all kinds of things that are still yet to be done with it, and this is just another example of something we could do with Black Tuesday without throwing cherries on it, or this is non-adjuncted. It's just a really simple beer, but it delivers in a way that's very, very high end. As you can tell, this is the way it's poured behind Sam's shoulder here. Like, you don't pour this beer yourself; you get your maitre d'. Come by and pour for you. But anyway, I think it's a really fantastic beer.
You're muted, dude.
No, he's not.
Let's do 2 housekeeping things. Connor, who is this available to right now, and how does the trickle down work, if at all, for us as far as availability? We had a
so
question
this
from
is
a brand new RS member asking about that.
Yeah, so still Black Tuesday is hoarders only. There really is no trickle down. Occasionally, especially for like popular kind of special sales, you know, like this year we had a big blowout 12 days of Christmas sale, and we, you know, gave RS a few, you know, access to a few things they hadn't seen throughout the year. But generally speaking, if it's a HS beer, it's an HS beer. If RS ever sees it, it might be a year or two down the line. Maybe we have extra left and we just want to share the love. But generally speaking, the exclusivity levels are where that beer stays. So if it's HS, only HS can buy it. HSRS, only those 2 groups can buy it. PS, you know, that won't see any public availability. But yeah, rarely do we drip anything down to a lower group, especially in the same year that it's released. It does happen from time to time, but you're not likely to see still Black Tuesday to RS members this year.
Let's get some
Great
notes from
answer.
Sam.
What'd you say?
I said, let's get some notes from Sam.
That's what I was thinking. I actually was thinking.
Yeah, he's
Sam,
drinking it right now.
Sam, was that Jeff behind you too? I think you should. I think we should get. You're on mute, but I think we should get your tasting notes. Then I want to see Jeff come in and give his tasting notes, and then I mean, if Ben's around, let's just hear what you guys think. You guys are the front line, man. What do we think?
So my favorite thing is this is unique in the sense of most, and I don't, maybe Jeremy was saying this before, but most Black Tuesdays see bourbon, right? So this is one of the ones that it doesn't see bourbon, it sees French oak. It picks up this wonderful wine character, and like you're saying, the tannin notes really come through, and it's beautiful. It's like I now know how wood interacts with wine. And
yeah, actually, I think that's a really good point. And I was discussing this with Dustin and a couple other folks in a sensory meeting the other day, where it is vinous, right? So there is some like wine character to it, but it's not from a wine barrel. So you have to think like, am I learning something about what a barrel does to wine too? You know, like there's some correlation here, and like I think that's above. I don't want to say that's above my pay grade because I should be getting paid, but I think it's above like, you know, the scientific notes in my head that I know about why wood does different things. I haven't quite figured that out, but I did notice that same thing, and I'm glad you brought it up because it's something that I didn't mention, but it's real, and I tasted that too.
It's so fun, dude. It's like, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but this all 2.5, 3 years of barrel, right?
3 years, yeah.
So it's like this is right up there with the aging of our Grand Reserve. So it's
right.
It's a wonderful, beautiful beer. Like you can't duplicate this. Like we can do it again and it'll be a completely different beer, I feel.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think some of the really interesting Black Tuesday treatments we did last year were that virtual pack we did. And a lot of those were really long aged Black Tuesday versions, right? It touched different kinds of wood. It's really interesting how much, because you know, like Grand Reserve and Reserve, those are touching different barrels, but to see what something does for extended aging is really interesting. And those beers from that virtual Black Tuesday pack last year were amazing.
I think you're like the question wasn't just asked, but I've noticed the same thing, and that is part of our next step and some of the projects we're going to be working on in the future for innovative ideas. Is this just dialing into this whole extended aging thing and what we can pull from that versus like, you know, what we found ourselves having without even thinking about it. You know, like some of these beers, like this beer was in barrel for 3 years because we couldn't figure out what to do with it. You know, I didn't know. I thought it was special, but I didn't want to just blend it into Black Tuesday and have it disappeared. You know, so I was like, kind of like, what are we going to do? Well, I think, as you said, Connor, with that virtual box, we found something to do with those barrels we've been holding on to because we just didn't want to let them go. So maybe there's something there. Maybe the concept is like we should plan for that and what's that next project? Are we doing a 5-year barrel aged Black Tuesday? Are we doing we're trying to do anniversary style stuff and do Solera things with different beers as well. So I think there's a lot there that we can innovate on without even looking at what the next new hottest trend is or what the hottest ingredient is or what the kids want right now. There's also like our thing that we can say, you know what, like we're going to be that brewery that says that we barrel age these certain beers for 7 years. That's what we do. That's what we think makes it better.
Yeah.
All right. I said it was going to be a happy hour. We're going on.
Nailed it.
So every time. So I think we're going to start wrapping this thing up. I think we're going to open it up to like open forum. There's a lot of good questions going on right now. So let's spend the next 10 minutes.
Jeremy just sent me this.
Let's spend the next 10 minutes answering some questions. I think I have a few questions for you guys too, just because you have some insights that maybe our fans don't have any insight into yet. But let's do this thing. So here we go. My gosh, there's so many questions.
Lower.
Can't get it. There we go.
Okay, here we go. And I think this is totally subjective, right? So how do you like drinking BT and heavy stouts? Room temperature, slightly chilled or cold? I mean, I can kind of start there. And I think this is kind of a common answer to this, though. But I mean, you open it and I think you taste it through as it goes, right? Like, because it kind of evolves as it warms. So what I like to do is I pull it out and yeah, maybe it's a little too cold, but I know that, and I'll give it a try just to see what it's drinking like, and then I'll let it warm up and it evolves. So you actually get a unique drinking experience every like 30 minutes almost, in my opinion. But
yeah, that's exactly what I do.
This is specifically stouts, but yeah, I do the same thing. I put it in the fridge, and then, I mean, honestly, I'll take the first sip out of the fridge, and then I might not take another sip for 15 minutes and let it kind of warm. Our anniversary beers, honestly, I drink those room temp. I don't even put those in the fridge. I think our anniversaries are amazing just the way they are. All you're doing by getting it cold is you're negating some of the flavors. They don't open up as much as they would when they're warm. It's cool to taste the progression as it warms up, but there's nothing wrong with just opening them the way they are. Now, if it's an IPA, I want it pretty cold.
Yeah. Or lager.
Yeah, I'm the same way with the stouts. I take them out of the fridge. Whether it's a bottle or a can, it's going to take me an hour or two to drink the whole thing. So, I'm drinking it at fridge temperature all the way up to room temperature. And like Daniel said, it's kind of a different experience throughout the whole thing.
Agreed. I'm a slow drinker myself. So like if I start cold, it'll eventually get to the temp before I finish it,
Good. All right, let's keep going. Here's a good one. This is a very specific one. What kind of motorcycle does Connor drive right now?
It's actually a moped.
There's an O in that name, so I'm not sure he's addressing that too. But I also don't drive. You wouldn't drive a motorcycle, right? You would.
I knew you were going to do that. Yeah, I knew you were going to do that.
It's a Honda Goldwing.
So here's kind of a loaded question. Let's keep going. So Andrew Strickland, I'm assuming you're a new member, but here's a good question. For new members, what is Black Tuesday exactly?
Beer from hell, right?
It's the beer from hell. Geez. I would say go to youtube.com/the brewery, and there's a four-part mini-series about what Black Tuesday is. But for like a quick snip and like your 30-second elevator pitch on Black Tuesday, I'm going to hand that off to Jeremy Grinke.
Yeah, so Black Tuesday is a bourbon barrel-aged imperial stout that weighs in very heavily. It's one of these high gravity brews, very, very high alcohol, usually in the 18.5 to 19.5% range. And it is kind of our big, if there is a flagship stout that we have, this would be it. It's released every October on the last Tuesday of October, otherwise known as Black Tuesday. And I think, guys, Connor, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I think This will be our 12th year with Black Tuesday as a release. So
yeah, 2009 was the first one.
Yeah, so 12 years running. So it's kind of a big deal, and kind of one of the things that, aside from all the other esoteric beers we make, this is a beer that we are known for. So
well, it's also it's a big component of a lot of other beers that we do. Like you just said, Baked on the Bayou has some Black Tuesday in it. But we also have our heavily adjuncted versions of Black Tuesday that maybe they're worthy of their own day of the week, which happens from time to time. And then, like Still Black Tuesday is purely a barrel project with extra aging. So I think Black Tuesday is something we really, really experiment with a lot. You'll see a lot of different Black Tuesday releases throughout the year.
Yeah, and I do encourage you to go on our site or go on YouTube and find that video that Daniel was describing. The lore, so to speak, of Black Tuesday is really played a big part in what built the brewery. Our societies, the Reserve Society specifically, was born from Black Tuesday and from people lining up around the building to get access to Black Tuesday. And Patrick, being the nice guy that he is, didn't want people standing outside waiting in line, and so he created the societies that gave you reserve access to Black Tuesday. And really, it's a great story. It's Black Tuesday was almost a happy mistake in terms of it was a bad day of brewing that was put into barrels and turned out to be an amazing beer that helped build the brewery.
Yeah, I think there's also like a little, for new members, I mean, and if you're new to craft beer, there's a little historical context to the beer as well, as all these big pastry stouts and big barrel-aged stouts. Like, you got a few beers that were early on in this game, and Black Tuesday is one of them. I mean, you can talk about Bourbon County, you can talk about some of like the Cigar City stuff, but Black Tuesday was right there at the beginning of all this. So I think it helped create a category, and it's only gotten better over the last 12 years, 11 years. What did we say, Connor? So there's a pretty in-depth history of it on YouTube. There's also on the blog, there's a really in-depth history straight from Patrick. But I think it's a fun read, and it's got like a little craft beer, American craft beer history to it as well. So shout out to Brian Knappmiller, who's actually watching right now, who helped us make that video. Great friend of the brewery and a great content creator. There are a lot of good questions. I'm going to keep going through this. I don't think Jeremy will want to do this, but Brian, who we just shouted out, is actually asking for a quick tour of magnets on his fridge.
A brewery.
I'll give you one. How about this guy? You see that? So
Cat. It's cool.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
So share this. The share this base beer ever used anymore. I loved barrel aged share this. That's probably more of a Jeremy question. But any answers?
No, we don't have any more of it. That we should probably brew it again. And I totally agree with you. I think that barrel aged share this was fantastic. Right? But no, we don't have any to use right now. So maybe I got to put that on the list to put in get brewed and put in the quiver.
Awesome. Good answer. Here's a good one that Jeremy and I have actually been working on pretty hard lately. So what kind of donut stouts will be coming out? I mean, well, maybe not both of us, mostly Jeremy, but I like to take a lot of credit for his work. So, so donut stouts, yeah, there's a big donut box coming out this year.
May?
Is it May? Jeremy probably knows more than I do. I don't know.
It's going to be June for National Donut Day on like June 4th or something like that.
Yeah, so we're looking to collaborate with some of the cool SoCal, Orange County, LA donut purveyors, creators, artisans.
Donut innovators.
Innovators, yeah. So like, I think we have a few locked in. Can we tease them or too early?
Too early.
Too early.
I think if anything, we have a couple locked in, but we're looking for a few more donut innovating partners.
How about this? Tell us tell us the format of the box. How many beers are we get? How many different beers are they going to get?
Ideally, it's going to be 4 different beers, and it'll be a can box. It'll be 4 different beers, 2 cans of each beer, and each beer will be made with a different donut partner.
And basically, we'll collaborate with them to create the liquid form of their flagship donut. So
I love it.
It's a cool.
Or come up with a new concept for a donut where we make the beer and then they make the donut version of the beer if they so choose to do it that way. So anyway, we're still looking for a couple donut partners. So if there's some crazy donut innovator out there watching this, or somebody knows this crazy donut creator, like, hook us up.
Oli Bully in Tustin. That's a good place.
Who?
Oli Bully in Tustin.
You got to contact. Let's get it.
Here's a good one. Jeremy, any preview thoughts on Portified BT? I think the packaging is spectacular. Like, it's different from anything we've done. And I think we only put that effort into it because we knew the beer was going to deserve it, right? So, I mean, you can probably talk a little bit more to the liquid, but I think it's going to be spectacular. Yeah,
so ideally, sitting side by side to these Still Black Tuesday French oak barrels that we're trying to figure out with, we had several port barrels that were left over, port pipes, 155-gallon port barrels that were left over from port barrel aged Black Tuesday a handful of years ago. And so we continue to age those. And then over the last couple of years, I've been adding grape juice to them from every harvest that we have. So we're harvesting, to make these Black Tuesday wine beer hybrids. I've been harvesting grape juice from those and topping those barrels with grape juice. So basically you have this beer, that's like 19%, and I keep adding sugar to it all the time, and grape sugar, grape juice, which is somewhat backwards fortifying this. So instead of fortifying it with alcohol, which is the way you make port, basically the way you make port is you ferment this wine, you're fermenting the wine, you get to a certain point, you pour a bunch of brandy in it, which brings the alcohol up, and the fermentation stops, and you basically lock in all that sugar. But we started with something that was already high in alcohol. So we basically started back sweetening it over time, adding that sugar, but not diluting the alcohol so much that it could re-ferment it all. And then over time, as the barrel breathes and evaporation happens, you start concentrating those flavors, water evaporates, a little bit of alcohol evaporates, but eventually what you're ended up with is a more concentrated flavor and a higher ABV. So over a 3.5-year stretch of time, we took these other barrels and continued to age them while fortifying them or reverse fortifying them throughout all this time. Anyway, another long story short, I had a brewer friend from Portugal over last year, right before COVID again, and we were walking through the cellar and we tasted this, and I thought for sure, this is a Portuguese guy. Here I am telling him that I'm messing with arguably their greatest export, their port, and I told him I'm making this port beer, and he laughs at me, and then when he tastes it, his face changes, and he's like, "Holy shit! Like, this is not sacrilege. Like, holy shit, you're onto something here." And so that kind of gave us the confidence to say, like, okay, I think, having somebody from Portugal say, like, you're not messing, you're not messing with our culture, our export, the thing that we do. If anything, you're playing in the right space. It kind of gave us confidence to move even further forward. And so with that, we decided to package this thing and make it actually look like a port. So we have a special packaging coming out next month. It'll be in this port bottle with a bar top, and so anyway, it's going to be really cool. And I hope people like it. I mean, I think it's innovative. I think it's cool, but proof's in the pudding, right?
Yeah, just a little more info on that. Portified Black Tuesday comes out next month, February, and it is HS and RS access. So look for that, and really excited about that.
Is that something open and close and keep drinking?
we're gonna keep going. I want to get a few. There's like really good questions coming out, so I want to keep answering. If any of our team has to drop off, feel free. I know Jeremy doesn't have anything to do, so we're gonna keep him on.
Oh, that sounds cool. My sister is gonna be knocking on my door.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get this done in the next 10 minutes. But there's some good questions. Next one up. I think this is a good one, and I can answer myself personally. Any thoughts on Radiant Beer Company? Yeah, I think Andrew Bell, Cambria, Jonas, all great friends of the brewery and personal friends on some level too. So happy for them opening and I think you should try their beer. If you're in Orange County, go ahead, try their beer. It's good stuff.
It's really good.
Thoughts from anyone else here?
I've had all 3 of their beers, and they're tasting wonderful.
Yeah, I haven't tried them yet, but I'm looking forward to them. Andrew does a great job, so I'm sure the beers are great.
Yeah, always sad to see people like that leave and move on, but especially from a talent perspective, Bell is fantastic at what he does, but always happy for them to move on to their own thing and start something special. So good for them.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Trying to find some good questions. There's some good ones.
Take your time, dude.
Oh, here's one. Jeremy, he left.
It's not really a question.
All right, Donut Man in Glendora. We'll make a note of that and write that one down.
We're trying to talk to them, so that's in the works.
Yep, their donuts are great. I've sent them a handful of messages. Haven't heard anything from them. But I'd love to hear from them. If somebody knows who is the Donut Man. What's his name?
Maybe BioBrat can reach out.
Yeah, BioBrat 86.
Brat or Brat?
Here's one. Anything exciting coming up in Hoarders boxes this year? So actually, I mean, I think we should just talk about that. I think we're going to take a break from the boxes this year to focus on a few other projects in bigger format. So no, I guess there's no Hoarders boxes that we're going to be doing this year.
I think this year, compared to other years, we're going to have a lot more of those. You guys already touched on it a little bit, but the donut box, and I have a lot of other cool box projects. I think we've already teased them with like the membership signups, but obviously returning Black Tuesday box where we'll do some adjuncted Black Tuesdays, and then the I don't remember what the new name is, but the Quercus box where we're going to try out some different wood components, see how the aging treats the Black Tuesday.
We only have
projects, but not the Hoarders series specifically.
Yeah, I was going to say we only have so much brewing capacity to do those small batch projects, and you're going to be getting those small batch projects, but they're just going to be in they're not going to be Hoarders boxes exclusively. They'll be the donut boxes and a couple other different things.
How do y'all get the higher 10 plus ABV? Does barrel aging boost ABV that much? I mean, from what I know, not really. It adds a few points, but I think this is another Jeremy question. How do we get those big ABV beers, Jeremy?
I mean, a lot of it's our special yeast, right?
Well, to some degree, but a lot of it just starts with original gravity, like how much sugar you have. So like if you brew something like Mischief, like you'll never get that to 10%. But you got to brew something with a lot more sugar. And then, Steve is right. We do have a very high attenuating yeast. So we have a monster of a yeast strain, our house strain, that really just loves to do its job. It loves to eat sugar and is very good at that. But then also, to Andrew's question here, barrel aging does boost ABV. Generally, in spirit barrels, we look at anywhere from 1% to 1.5% ABV. Arise just from the spirit that's either puddled at the bottom of the barrel or locked into the pores. And then that's not yet that barrel aging itself, there's a lot of evaporation that goes on in concentration. So just in that concentration, curve, if you will, you'll get a higher ABV. For instance, a good example of that is that Still Black Tuesday. I think the ABV on that is somewhere near the low 18s, 18.4 or something like that. Well, when that went into barrel, it was likely around 17.5. Black Tuesday on its own, before it goes to bourbon barrel, is not 19%. It picks up a little bit of that percentage from the spirits and from the aging. So in going back to Still Black Tuesday, that's an example of that concentration factor happening. The only way that ABV rose in that barrel over 3 years of time is because water evaporated and concentrated what was left. I think that answers your question, Andrew.
That was a great answer, Jeremy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Here's another one. Any cool collabs planned this year? So I think, I'll answer right away. Yes, we're doing.
I already got one of them.
Oh, the Horus collabs came out, but we are bringing back the barrel age versions of Curiosity, and we're creating a new chocolate Curiosity collaboration with Horus. But I think we have a lot of fun collabs coming out this year.
Well, you have the Three Sons one that just came out, which Connor is mentioning. You have the Horus ones coming up. We have a couple projects that aren't fully concepted yet, so I can't share what they are, but we'll be working with Kevin from Celador and Matt from Homage as well on a couple projects at Peru that I think will be a lot of fun. Those are slated for the end of the year sort of time frame. But quite honestly, the last year has been really, really difficult as far as collabs. We did do that one virtual collab with Mike and Derek, from Microphone and Moxa, respectively. And we'll be doing a barrel-aged version of that Three Isco company as well. And just speaking of that beer, I just tasted that beer the other day. And man, that Three Isco company is still so good and still holding up so good. So I think that that barrel-aged one that comes out, I think, I would say somewhere July or August timeframe is going to be pretty spectacular. I'm pretty excited for that beer as well. Oh, and then we also have, all right, this one's big. We're going to do barrel-aged Bonanza. So the answer that we did 2 years ago or a year ago,
right? Yeah.
So yeah, the Bonanza, I'm really happy about that. We love working with On at the answer, and anyway, I'm excited about all those. Matter of fact, it sounded like we didn't have a lot of collabs, but that's a good amount of collabs.
Yeah. You got Boulevard. There's a few more on there.
Boulevard. Actually, we got Boulevard going on too. So yeah,
we also have a three-way collab with Celador and Homage. You said.
Yeah. So
you're teasing too much, man. You're teasing too much.
It's all on the Hoarders and Reserve Society pages.
All right, I'm gonna get through like 4 more questions. I thought this one was good. Will we see more double barrel aged days of the wheat beers, triple barrel? Yes, Aloha Friday is coming. That one's gonna be fucking fantastic. I didn't mean to swear. That's the only one I know off the top of my head because I was really excited for it. I don't remember if there are.
Have we come up with a witty name for that yet? Friday, it just means goodbye instead of hello, right?
There you go. That's right. It's just going to be called Aloha Friday because it has 2 meanings. I love it.
Same packaging.
We'll wax it differently.
I don't remember. I don't think we're doing another one, but I think that's the big one this year.
We are. We're doing Big Blue Stacks.
Oh.
Big Blue Stacks.
Any maple stouts coming soon. I've seen this a few times. So.
Oh, Bon Jovi. That's cool.
We got Owen Wilson and Bon Jovi in here.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Big fan.
Bovi.
I'm a big fan, John. Thanks for all your work.
Let's see.
We've got a voice of an angel.
I think these are the best ones. Okay, I'm gonna call this. I want to ask everybody a question though before we take off, because all of you have seen the line plan through the year. You know all the beers coming out. What are you most excited for in 2021 beer wise? I'll give you a few minutes to think while I look for more questions, but Let's start with Connor because he knows the line plan the best, I think.
Man, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff on there. There's so many beers. Honestly, I hate to say it, I haven't tried creme brulee yet, and I feel like that's got to be everything I've heard is that beer's amazing. I really ready to get a bottle and taste that one. I think, geez, I don't know. All the Cows coming back. Those are some pretty stellar beers.
All the Cows.
Yeah. Big Blue Stacks, like he's calling out right there. I think, that beer, when we did it in draft and then when we did it in bottles, people went nuts for it. So I think that'll be fun to see.
Can we confirm or deny this one? Can we confirm or deny this question? Big Blue Stacks equals double barrel blueberry pancake?
Oh.
I don't know. Can we?
Confirmed.
Confirmed.
There you go.
I think that's what I'm most excited for is that beer, but not excited necessarily for the liquid, but excited for the challenge of elevating that beer. I think that beer a little bit of a fan favorite. So we have a lot to deliver on to make that beer better, and that's a challenge. So I'm excited by the challenge, not necessarily by the win, if you will.
Revisiting You Want a Piece of Me? Looking forward to that. That'll be good.
Yeah, you do.
What are you excited for, man? I know you're a hazy boy.
Yeah, I am, but I cheated. I had to look at the line plan, and the one that really jumped out at me is one that you won't have to wait long for. It comes out next month. My Zombie. So, it's
that beer is good, man.
yeah, it's a brand new base beer coming from the brewery. It's rum barrel aged and it's tiki cocktail inspired. So everything from lime, grapefruit zest, almond, orange flavor, cinnamon. It's just on paper, it sounds like a lot and unusual, but in my experience, that's really just what the brewery thrives in, is just taking these unusual off the wall concepts and just really bringing them to life in a wonderful way. So can't wait for that one.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just gonna name every beer, but Steve talking about the tiki beers, the one later in this year, the painkiller one. Damn. I love a good painkiller. I can't wait for that.
And we've done that before at the BT party last year. We
slushies,
had painkiller
slushies.
Y'all stole all my ideas.
They're all good.
He's a big thing in with my roommates and I, like last year was the year of tiki, and so I was stoked on those. But I'd say to go off something that someone else hasn't said is maybe the return of the famous horchata.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. You guys might not get this a lot, but at least in the taste room, people come in a lot and they're like, "Do you guys have any horchata?" And I'm like, "No, but it's coming. Keep your eyes open."
Nice.
It's great.
Yeah, I get that a lot too from all my friends. They're like, "When's horchata coming back?" And so for everybody that wants to know, we have it slated to come back in April.
Sweet.
So mark your calendars.
All right, last question. It's been a long week. What brewery beer should I open? I'm going to say, Brian, if it's been a long week, I know how your weeks go. You should probably open Chocolate Rain. Not Chocolate Rain, but Chocolate Rain. Like that's my long week beer. When I'm just like, I'm not. I don't know. It's basically the beer when you're just like, I'm not going back to reality till Monday. The Chocolate Rain.
If you want something from the virtual pack, off Fudge, it's fantastic. It'll hit the right spot. That's my vote.
It's a good one.
All right, guys, this is starting to go awry, so I'm going to go ahead and play this outro video that we do. It was really great seeing all of you. Thanks, Connor. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Sam. I think this was really fun. We're going to call it a night, but feel free to obviously keep commenting. We'll be responding. Shoot us an email if you have questions. Message Steve directly on Beer Advocate if you have any complaints. But thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Cheers.
Bruery.